Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast that we're having for the Pike County Schools, the Excellent in Education podcast. We've had some great guests so far, and today I'm joined by Mr. Greg Napier. They call, as you know, I call people by their first name, so I'm going to call you Greg as opposed to Mr. Napier. I'm sure you're being called, they call you Mr. Napier at the school system, but Greg is the principal at Shelby Valley High School, and we got a lot of things to talk about today. There's some great things happening over there. And Mr. Napier, Mr. Greg is going to fill us in. So, Greg, welcome to our podcast.
Glad to be here.
So, tell me a little bit about Greg Napier and how long you've been at Shelby Valley and where you grew up and where you're from and why you're here.
Oh, well, yeah, that could take about 5 minutes. Now, I've been at Shelby Valley, the doors opened there in 1990, fall of, and I've been there pretty much ever since. I was a graduate of Virgie High School and graduated in 1982. Had a few friends that were famous, Todd Main, Keith Caseboat, and Gerald Osborne.
Wait a minute. Now, you just listen, you're hitting on stuff. You're right off the bat, Greg. You're
trying to see Miller here. But, yeah, I'd had opportunity. I'd gone to Center College, graduated from there in 1986, did a little stint at UPS in Louisville, and had a former teacher of mine who was an assistant principal call me up and say, "Hey, you ever thought about teaching?" So that was Miss Joan Goodman, and it pulled me in, and I came back home, did some education courses at Pikeville College, finished up there, got a job when the doors. Well, I got a job at Mullins first year. I was at Mullins.
Okay.
Taught 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Did a little bit of everything there. And then the next year had the opportunity to go to Shelby Valley and had a brand new school, opening the doors. Got to revisit with some old friends and pretty much been there ever since, minus about a 3.5-year stint where I worked for the Kentucky Department of Education as what they call a highly skilled educator, and later I became an educational recovery specialist.
Oh wow, there's a lot of things going on.
A lot of words there, yeah. Well, I had the opportunity to work with some school systems that were struggling along the way, and learned a lot from a lot of good people. One of which was Commissioner Robbie Fletcher, who I'd spent time with. I was actually technically his supervisor when I was a member of KDE, and worked with him in Martin County back in the day. But it was just great. Had the opportunity to come back after that and be a service principal. That was in 2011, and I've been there ever since.
So prior to going to the KDE and then your 3.5-year stint after that, what did you learn from before you left and was at Valley, and then you went to KDE? What did you bring back to Valley with you when you came back from your experience?
Mostly, I discovered that the greatest thing is you can't bring about change until people are ready to change, and you have to make things important to them. So we came back, and they were going through federal government and state government and Kentucky Department of Education. They like to tinker a little bit. You got all these assessment companies that like to sell their products. So we're getting ready to undergo another change in assessment in the state of Kentucky, in the Commonwealth. And so I brought back a knowledge about the assessment system that was probably not something that people held as a common language. I knew the changes that were coming.
Sure.
Because I had some firsthand knowledge there. Came back, and everybody was torn up over end-of-course assessments and KSA. Right? There's all kinds of different acronyms I could throw at you.
Yeah,
but
right.
One thing we all agreed upon is that ACT was important. It was important to our kids and their future. It was important to our teachers, and they felt like it was a valid assessment. So when we came back, I gave them a voice, and they told me this is what we want to do. So that's what we did, and we focused on that initially, and that kind of carried over to everything else, and just, basically giving the kids what they needed when they needed it, giving the teachers what they needed when they needed it, and just moving forward there, staying positive and moving on.
So from the time you started teaching to the time to like now, there's been an evolution on how kids are educated and how teachers are educating children. What do you think is the most important aspect of that evolution, and what is the hardest part about educating kids now versus what it was 20 years ago when you started?
Well, that would be the technology. That makes life a little more difficult. Back in the day, it was you grew up in a sit and get educational system where you sat in a desk, probably a nice straight line, and You sat there and nodded your head, and sometimes you nodded off and took a nap, but the teacher delivered all the content and all of what was important, and they gave you a test, and life was good. You went on about your business. There was a thing called then, I think it was the CTBS, which was the assessment I remember growing up with, and I took that all the way through school every year, the same test. Well, that's changed. Obviously, you had a number of things that took place in the 80s and 90s at the federal level that led to a great deal of change. You had the seat change in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, where financing for education changed. So there's been a lot of those changes, but honestly, it's still education, and it's still making education important, making learning important to kids, finding what they're interested in, because all too often we want to come in and we want to teach somebody about the Mona Lisa. Well, they don't really want to learn about the Mona Lisa, but they do want to learn about how to take that engine apart in that 19 whatever Corvette.
Sure.
So you got to find what they're interested in and use it to drive the education. And, I know you've got an employee named Randy White. He didn't care much to read Romeo and Juliet, but now Randy did like to read, so we had to find him something he liked to read, and then he liked to write, so you had to give him an avenue to write, and he's done quite well with it in his life. Now, I think all too often we think everybody has to be on a college track, and everybody has to be going to be a doctor or a lawyer. And the fact of the matter is that's just not the truth. So you find out what they're interested in and you guide them in that direction.
And technology helps you
technology
do that.
Helps that today. Yeah.
So you use Randy as an example. Randy's our regional sports editor. He's been with us for 20 years. Great employee, great guy, really nonchalant, low down key. How do you funnel kids now? Because 20 years ago when Randy, or 27 years ago when Randy was in high school, was it that long, Randy? 25 years ago? So 25 years ago, the opportunities were limited for kids to stay in this area. Mm-hmm. How hard is it now to educate kids, to let them go, get educated, get their degrees, whether they go to U-Pike or Big Sandy or someplace like that, and come back and have jobs there? Are you finding there's more opportunities now with this here, and are kids more interested in staying here, or are they interested in getting the heck out of Dodge?
Are you still, kids, they like adventure. However, they also like the idea of being able to make a little bit of money and the stability associated with it. So the biggest thing here, and this is something we've all gotten better at, your services that you provide, that lets our kids know that there are opportunities here, and not just in the medical field, which everybody knows the hospital is the largest employer. But back in my day, it was the coal business. So kids were either going to go to college, or they were going to coal. They were going to a job in the coal industry.
Like truck driving, coal,
something tied to
related, sure.
So, today there's been a shift from that industrial part more to a service industry. And so our kids, they learn soft skills in the courses today on how to just talk to people, how to treat people. And that way, if you're going into, maybe you start out as you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, let's say, but through the soft skills, you learn how to deal with the public. You learn how to handle things.
Next thing you know, you own one.
Next thing you know, you might be Bob and Tom.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Doing those things. So, yeah, there's more opportunity here now to stay at home and work with technology and the internet and the things you can do online and work. But there's also a greater communication of, here are the jobs that are currently available.
Sure.
The medical industry, you got shortages. So nurses, we do a lot of medical stuff at school, even at high school. But I think that's probably the greatest thing, is just finding out what the kids are interested in and letting them know it's here.
Sure.
We can do it and stay home and still continue to be productive citizens.
You hit on a thing with Pikeville Medical Center. They've got a pretty good program about that. And when people see, there's opportunities at the hospital, they think, oh, I've got to become a doctor or a brain surgeon or something. But if I'm not mistaken, they've partnered up with the county school system, with your all's school as well. I say your all's because I'm from the South now. I used to say yous guys's, but your all school. And it's not just doctors and nurses, but they need food prep people, they need electricians, they need carpenters, they need masons, they need janitorial services, they need all that stuff. You mentioned also, not everybody is going to go to college. What percentage now are you finding of kids that are not going to college, or don't go to college, or, let's face it, they're just not cut out for college and have a fighting chance now? I mean, has that tide turned a little bit?
Yeah.
Where 20 years ago, if you didn't go to college, you didn't have a fighting chance. Now you don't have to necessarily go to college, but you go to a trade school, learn how to become a mechanic or a technician or a phlebotomist or a CNA, and there's a lot of opportunity. Is that helping you get kids ready to go into the workforce?
No, 100%. If you were to look at our schedule that we've built, our master schedule, you'll find opportunity for dual credit, for the college track kids. But what you'll also will find is you'll have an M&A program where I'll have 15 kids every year that are coming out employable immediately. We've started, as you said, we've partnered with Pikeville Medical, and we're fast tracking some freshmen that when they graduate high school, they'll be able to go in. I think how it's set up, they'll come out an RN, I believe, is how it goes, and then they build from that, or it might be an LPN. I can't remember which one's which. It's a little over my head at times, but I mean, and it's everything. We've got kids that are coming out that are certified welders, don't have to worry about post-secondary. They don't have to go any further. They've got their certifications. They can go work right now in a multitude of locations and earn money here at home as well. So it helps us because when the kids generally have an idea of what it is they want to do, we can get them in it. We've got apprenticeships that we're offering now, and they can get in it, get a taste to make sure it's something they want to do. That way, in 5 years down the road, they're not having to flip their whole life and start over again. So,
and when there's something of interest that they have interest in, it's a lot easier for them. Just like Randy. Randy hates Shakespeare. I know that because he told us that. But he has a lot of love for other things. Just because somebody doesn't know how to do, the Pythagorean theorem doesn't mean they can't be a good welder. They may use those skills and not know that they're using those skills, but they can become a good welder, or they can do that. And I think that's really an important thing. And I think that probably would help you, or as an educator, once they learn or understand their path, whatever that path is, you can point them in that proper direction, because there's great job opportunities around. And I think that's a good opportunity for you. We talked about keeping kids in the area and all that stuff. So what is unique about Shelby Valley? What motivates you? What motivates your educators? What motivates the students and the parents and all that stuff? Great tradition at the school there. How do you maintain that tradition?
The biggest thing is just bringing the kids in and trying to keep them focused on what's important, and that been their future. For me, it's Jeremiah 29:11. Roughly paraphrased, basically just trying to give them hope for a future. I had a good friend when I was growing up, came from a broken home. He didn't have anything. Multiple times through his life, he would tell me, I don't have a future. And that always stuck with me. He's not with us any longer. And I guess more so than anything for them, I want them to understand that there is hope for a future. And if they'll just apply themselves, find their interest, build up on that interest, and create a vision based on that interest, be passionate about it, and hold faith in themselves, faith in the people they're working with and the teachers, faith in their parents, faith in the good Lord above, that good things will happen and that they do have hope for a future.
So that clearly is your philosophy. Are the teachers buying into that philosophy as well? Because I mean, you could be doing all that stuff and be great, but if nobody buys into it, nobody cares.
Well, they're the ones that told me that's what we were going to do. So I think that's and that was one of the things when I first came back. Now, and I learned that more so than anywhere. I learned that when I worked with KDE. Is you can't get that. You can't mandate things. You can't go in and say this is the way it's going to be.
Sure.
You can, but you have to do it in a very subtle way. And the easiest way I've found is you go in and say, hey, what do you think? And then you find those who have you find that common. There's always a common connection somewhere, and you got to find that connection and then make it about what's important. And most time, all teachers, I don't care who you are, if you went into the profession, you didn't go into it for the money,
right?
You may have gone into it for that falsehood called summers off, because that's not true either. But why you really went into it for is because you want to help kids. You want to be a positive influence on their lives. So our folks came together many years ago, and this is before I was a principal, and we decided that excellence through unity and pride. You cannot be excellent if you're not unified and you're not proud of who you are and where you come from. So that became a focus, and that was the teachers along with some student voices that came up with that. And then when I came back, I just asked, what's our job? What's our purpose? And the teachers agreed that our purpose is we got to graduate every kid. Each kid that comes into our building, we have to graduate them college and or career ready. And so that's our focus, and that's what drives us and the people in our building.
So the teachers have bought into this thing, and it's because it was part of their agenda. They kind of created their own agenda, and that's passed down to the students, and from the time they enter the building as a freshman or a freshman to the time they graduate. And I think that everybody buys into that concept. We had the privilege, if you will, last year to work with your newspaper staff, and I asked a bunch of questions to those folks, and I was pleasantly surprised. When I first came to town here 25 years ago, there was one mindset. And I think that folks, educators like yourself, have broadened horizons so wide that have given kids an opportunity that they don't know that they had 25 years ago. Now I know one of your students who graduated last year, the year before last. She went to Japan. She took went to Japan and did some studying for a week in Japan. 25 years ago, that was unheard of for somebody in Pike County, just a regular, unless you're a doctor's kid, just to go to Japan for a week and vacation there. How interesting or important or excited are you to see children have the horizons or have their experiences wide open as an educator? Right? That's got to be a rewarding opportunity for you.
Yeah, that for me, I had the opportunity to study at Oxford University, St. John's College. Had that in 1985, and I shared that with my kids. And I've had a number of students who have gone outside the country to study, but more so than that, just kids who didn't think that they could ever leave and go somewhere to experience anything. And I've just seen just to see them when they come back and they tell their stories, and it makes the job a little more special. And that's the thing. It is a special job. But when you see a kid go out and be successful, and we've had many, you can go into any of the schools in this county and surrounding area, and you'll find a Shelby Valley graduate. You go to the hospital, you're going to find a Shelby Valley graduate. You come to the Appalachian News Express, you'll find a Shelby Valley graduate. You go to a law firm. I mean, we're
go to Pike or Big Sandy, and they got graduates from Shelby Valley who are continuing education because that world is open to them.
That's it. It's wide open, and that's through the technology and through the interest, because kids now they'll go explore a lot more than what we would in my youth. Kids came out and they were going to work or they were going to college. More were going to work than we're going to college.
Yeah.
We're probably right now, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'd be willing to bet we're sending 75% of our kids to college. We're sending another
or to some education
or some post-secondary education opportunity. And then the rest are going into the military, and they're going into the workforce. And those that are going into the workforce, the majority of those are going in holding industry certifications where they're qualified to teach or to work at Bruce Waters Forge down here in the shop or somewhere, and they're certified and they can do brakes, they can do everything. So it's that they're going out, they're exploring what they want to do more so than ever before, and it's an exciting time to be in education.
So you trade in this market, in this area. So like you just mentioned, Bruce Walters. So you go and get your car serviced, and all of a sudden you see a graduate from 2017 who is now has a family, educated, doing a great job, earning a great living, staying here right at home. How rewarding is that to you? And what kind of stories do you tell your students now about the opportunities that are available to them going forward?
Just the fact that they're staying here, because you asked me, this is a great place on the planet. You can't beat it. I'm here for a reason. I've lived elsewhere, and there's no place better. So just to be able to see them, go and do what they love and stay here at home and do it. That's
and contribute to their local community and the local society and
community,
take care of their friends. Yeah,
take care of their friends, their family.
Ex-teachers.
Those of us who may retire at some point in time, I don't know. it's just it is. It's a rewarding experience, and I'm so proud. To when you go out and you see one, I don't care what they're doing.
Sure.
They're working and they're contributing. And next thing, I don't know how much you're familiar with the portrait of the learner that the educational department and what Pike County has done, but one of those is be a responsible citizen. And there's nothing that makes me more proud than see a Shelby Valley graduate being a responsible
Well,
citizen.
I credit my football coaches and my wrestling coaches for that, because that's what made me want to be responsible. Although some of my constituents here will tell you I'm irresponsible, but I think teaching and education and sports teaches you that. If I can get you to finish this sentence for me,
Mm-hmm.
we want to kind of wrap up here. Greg Napier, principal at Shelby Valley High School, is motivated by
The youth of Pike County in the Shelby Valley community. And I'm looking for a wrestling coach if you know anybody.
I wrestled in high school, but there's not a joint in my body that wouldn't snap, crackle, or pop. But I'm sure we could figure something out between me, you, and Randy White. So, Greg, listen, a great conversation today. Thank you so much for filling us in. The future of this county is bright because of people like you, and because of your leadership, your tutelage, the fact that you are empowering your teachers to do great things with their students, and we're educating students to not only do great things but come back and do great things here too. So I want to thank you for raising children, educating children, and having a great staff here that brings people back here and gives us opportunity, because that's what we're all about. We have hope because of people like you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up Pike County Schools Excellence in Education. My guest, Greg Napier. Hope is all about hope. Thank you, Greg, for your time. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.